Hello and welcome, friends. I hope everybody's had a great day so far. If you are new here, welcome. And if you're back, welcome back. I greatly appreciate all of the ongoing support. This is my channel, Dragonsjewel Creative Gems, or Dragonsjewels, I should say. I knocked off the creative gems to make it shorter, and I'm Tegan. So I'm just gonna get all that wonderful YouTube stuff out of the way first. If you haven't hit that subscribe button yet, please consider doing so. It's just down below. If you like the content you see, don't forget to hit like, and of course any love, comments, suggestions, all of those wonderful things, there's that comment section down there as well. You can see we have a diamond painting here in front of us today, so that means we are doing a good old whip and chat. And whip just stands for work in progress, and that can relate to any crafty project really. So pull on something that you want to get working on yourself, listen along, get some stuff done around the house, however you like to treat these videos, but definitely stay, listen, catch up on what's been going on. I'm not sure how long this one's going to be. I didn't have anything too crazy or exciting really happen. Pretty standard quo around here lately in that sense. So I'm going to dive on into my first color and we'll get going here. Pretty much we got the end of school that had happened and the start of our summer. The kidlet had a couple appointments that we had to get in at the end of June there. So he had a dental appointment, which was just kind of a regular dental appointment for him. We started getting him used to the dentist and procedures, and this time they were able to get some x-rays done and actually get in there and do a cleaning this time around, so that's awesome. He actually sat still for them and long enough for them to be able to do that, which is amazing in itself, because I didn't know if we'd ever reach a point with him and dental appointments and stuff like that for them to do stuff like that. So that is awesome. Dad took him, of course. So he had that, and then he had a follow-up from his surgery that he had a couple of months back now. I believe it was the six month, or maybe it was the 3-month follow-up, I can't remember. Anyways, it was his follow-up from his surgery, and just gonna look at the healing, where we're at with the procedure that we've been doing, the particular type of procedure. He has a big huge bald spot that was created from a bed sore from a previous surgery that he had, and so it ended up resulting in this bald spot and no hair growing back because it completely killed all his hair follicles. We thought it would be good if we could deal with it when he was young. We've now had, I think, 3 or 4 surgeries where they've gone in and they've just kind of cut out the scar tissue they could and stretched and pulled the skin as taut as they could to kind of put it back together and then stitch it and try to reduce how big of a bald spot it is. Unfortunately, after so many, it also kind of stretches in between, and it just hasn't done as much as we wanted. We kind of started getting some really good results, but the last few we haven't seen any results. It just kind of remained the same. So it's still fairly significant. It's a little bit better, but it's still fairly significant, and this procedure is not quite enough. So with talking with his surgeon, the recommendations going forward is to give him a couple of years to grow. So now we're going to let him grow, and we're looking at about when he turns, I think they said 12. He's 8 now, so when he turns about 12, we're going to look at a little bit more of an invasive technique where they actually inject essentially fluid back there. So it'll end up getting like a little pouch of fluid that'll end up stretching the skin, and then at that point then they'll go and cut and stretch it all back together and tighten it up. But that sometimes allows for a more seamless, it's more invasive because it's literally like a couple of weeks or months worth of the injections in the back of the head. Well, that, so I mean, kind of, you don't look the greatest either, so I mean that part's gonna suck. But it sounds like that's the next recommended one, but there is a higher success for the end results that we're looking for him. So that unfortunately looks like our next steps, but we won't be looking at that for about 4 years. So now we just kind of let him be a kid and all that. It's better than putting him through all these multiple surgeries every year, especially if we're not getting those results either. Yeah, so that was a little bit of a bummer, but not 100% unexpected necessarily. We kind of talked at the last appointment that we'd see how this one went, see how much stretching happens between the surgery and the time he sees her, and obviously took some measurements to see how much of an impact it made, that kind of thing. So yeah, it kind of gave us a little bit of a clearer picture. And really, this poor kid's been under enough surgeries and anesthesia as it is, so where we can kind of reduce it, good. But he had that appointment on top of the dental, so those kind of we got out of the way pretty much right after first week he was out of school. We were able to kind of get those in and done, which is nice because then that kind of frees up the summer from a lot of that kind of things. So now we can just kind of enjoy it, which we've set up our pool in the backyard now. At the end of the last season, we bought one of those kind of above ground style pools with a pump, and it's only like 10 feet. I think it's 10 feet in diameter and only like maybe 3 or 4 deep, but it's enough that, you know, he can kind of walk around, sort of swim in, play around in, splash. We can kind of dip ourselves in and cool off with him as well. So it still takes a ladder to kind of get in and out of it, so we did get one of those as well. So we got that all set up and going and ready to use. We of course keep it clean with the recommended chemicals and everything with the pump, so we had all of that going, and now it looks like all the levels have settled to the point we can start using it, so that's awesome. We'll be able to enjoy that. The hubby, of course, got laid off, so he's been home with us, and which worked out great because he was able to kind of set up the pool, get the backyard ready for all of that, do all that wonderful stuff. It sounded like they wanted to send him right back out to another shutdown, but he kind of spoke up and said we can't do that. He's already done like 3 or 4 in a row, and us as a family, we need something that's a little bit more normal kind of scheduling for a bit, just because it's thrown us off. And yeah, so they then went okay. They were actually pretty good about it. They said they could probably get him, by the sounds of it, out on the LRT expansion here on our side of the city, so that'll be like super close for him to go to work. He can walk to it really if he wanted to, or bike it if he wanted to go a little quicker than a walk. He could walk if he wanted to. Super easy. He'd be right on this side of the city for coming home, getting to work so he wouldn't have to leave as early. He wouldn't be coming home as late. His commute would be a lot shorter in that sense too, and more consistent hours for scheduling things. So he'd be working 4 10s with the usual 3 days, same 3 days off every week. So a lot easier to plan family activities and even just appointments and errands and stuff like that. So that'll be good. It just sounds like we have to wait. They said 3 weeks at the time probably, but still said for him to phone every week just to kind of see if anything opens up sooner than that. So that's some good news. Not a super long wait, and the hours we were kind of hoping he would get for us. So that's a big bonus. I'm just gonna take a sip here with my beverage. We are doing this on Thursday evening. It's almost 6 p.m. I've already eaten. I had some wonderful pasta leftovers. much better hours, all of that good stuff. Stuff that we were kind of hoping would. So we're happy about that. He's happy about that. Things will be good. It'll be a good summer. Maybe we'll get to enjoy some weekends out doing some beaches and stuff too together that way. Good things like that. Trying to think here. Yeah, so that's all of that kind of stuff in that front. That was kind of how we started our summer, was with all of that. My parents had a little trip to Vancouver, their first real kind of away trip since they've gotten Axel. I dog sat for them. I haven't dog sat for them since they had their 2 labs, and one was a special needs lab. So yeah, I've babysat since those days. So babysitting for Axel in some ways was a lot more simple than her labs. They didn't have, he didn't have any meds that he needed. He didn't have anything to really kind of watch by way of any sort of special needs. Like her special needs dog had what was called Addison's, and so he literally would do circles sometimes around you, so walking him was difficult. He would bump into things, stuff like that, so you kind of had to really kind of watch him, possibly attend to some of that if he got too crazy, that kind of thing. He was a super sweet pup, and he loved all of us. He loved people. He was actually quite a great little dog. Miss him definitely, but yeah, it's a lot easier to watch Axel for sure. The only thing with Axel that I found was he still gets up kind of all hours of the night, usually between 2 and 4 a.m. He would wake up and decide it was time to go bathroom outside. So after staying up watching some TV down in the rec room and then going to bed, I was lucky if I was kind of getting 5 hours in a kind of a clump of sleep before I'd have to get up and let him out. So it left me kind of tired in that sense. I was taking naps over at my mom's just to kind of get through my days at that point. And what else was else? Yeah, feeding him was super simple. I did sneak in a couple of most of the evenings actually that I was there, I snuck in the hot tub, just kind of soak, relax. It's out in their backyard, so it's quite nice. But yeah, I do that, and then of course Axel would just kind of run around and keep watch of all the squirrels and birds in my parents' yard while I did that, and then he would occasionally run over, walk up a couple of the steps going up into the hot tub and peek in to see that I was still in there and what I was up to. So that wasn't so bad. And I mean, we weren't sure how he would react to my parents being away, if he would settle at night or if he would eat, little things like that. He did awesome at eating. Awesome. Every time I put down his food, he would have it gobbled right back up. And of course, my glue here stuck right to it. Yeah, he'd gobble it right back up, and then it would be gone. So he was really good about that. Had no issues there. It took him a little bit to settle down kind of at night. That was mainly we'd kind of get up to the bedroom to go to sleep, and he would be a little restless and not sure where to sleep because he didn't want to sleep on his bed necessarily. So he got a little bit restless in that sense, trying to figure out where to sleep. Then he'd climb up and get comfy with me, but only after, you know, he stood pretty much over top of me staring at me, probably wondering why I was climbing into bed for sleep at night. Who knows? But yeah, once he got into that kind of routine, he settled in perfectly fine. Didn't have any issues there. He actually did a lot better than we all expected. My parents, of course, came home, and we laughed because I went over, because I had a hair appointment today, and I went over and I guess my parents fed him at like 5 this morning, and I went over about 9, just before 9:30, and he waited till I got there, and we're standing in the kitchen talking to my mom to gobble up his breakfast, and then he finished off the whole thing. So my mom just kind of laughed and went, "Oh, wow, finally he eats." Yeah, it was a little bit of a stinker, a cute stinker, but a stinker. Yeah, so he did pretty good there, considering I could tell that he missed them. If I didn't close the blinds or curtains at night, he would be up and down, up and down, up and down, peeking out them all night while I was watching shows, versus if I just shut them, then he would relax more, not constantly watching for them to come home or spying on the neighborhood, that kind of thing. So that was good as well. The one day was kind of funny. I was out in the yard with him. He's a funny dog. He will not go out in the yard without you joining him. Will not, unless he absolutely has to go pee and can't hold it. That's about, I think, the only time he'll go out there on his own, and even then he kind of looks and goes, "Are you coming?" So he's a little bit of a funny dog in that sense. So I did always have to go out in the yard with him when he had to go out. And then one time when we were out there after he did his business, he was just kind of walking around doing his thing, and he decided he wanted to go poke around in one of their raspberry bushes, and went to sniff it, bumped one of the branches and leaves, and made it end up kind of rustling. The branch moved, made the leaves rustled. Well, that scared the living daylights out of him. That he completely tucked tail and butt under him and came running at me with this wide-eyed wild man expression, bolting straight towards me in the deck, like, I don't know, probably assuming I'd save him from the big bad raspberry bush. but that ended up making me kind of double over in laughter. It was hilarious to see. But yeah, other than that, he did really good for their first away. He was not a bad dog at all. He did really good. Just a lot different, and it certainly made me appreciate the fact he sleeps throughout the night and doesn't have to get up and go out and go pee, and or even want to get up, go out and go pee, that kind of thing. So it definitely made me appreciate that. But I do miss the fact that he's a great that Axel's a grazer and mine doesn't. And that's mainly because Janaya is a grazer, so it was nice to have two grazers. Whereas right now I've got one who will gobble up everything in sight. That's his and then some. So he'll go after anything that Janaya leaves in her dish. So having a grazer and then one like that is really hard to manage. Not always easy. That's why we mix in a ton of wet food, because not only does that help Janaya, we give her smaller portions that she can kind of finish in one go, as well as when we feed her. So we've kind of had to change a bit how we feed her just so that she gets the food she needs. But yeah, there's that. Of course, dog sitting went lovely. I did get to work on a bunch of my kind of crafty stuff, have some quiet time, do a bit of reading. I would go out and sit on the patio and read, curled up on their kind of like little sofa couch while Axel kind of laid beside me and watched for birds and squirrels in the morning. I'd sit out there and read with my coffee for a bit, and then I'd come in and basically just move to the living room and read for a bit. Then I'd work on some crafty projects during the day, obviously take him for his walks. So it was a nice kind of way just to kind of decompress, relax, be somewhere a little bit quieter and less chaotic. Even though I still didn't sleep that great, it was good. So I was there for about a week. Yeah, about a week. One day, the first night, actually, a buddy of mine, my best friend, I went and saw her cousin play. She's the one that I usually hang out with the most because she's available and makes time and has time to do things and stuff. And I'm going to miss her because she's actually getting ready to go back to school here in the fall, and she's going to school in Cork, which is over in Ireland. That's where she wants to be. She wants to live in Ireland. It's just been a long, painful process. She's been back home now for a while since COVID, and she can't do it anymore, so she decided to go back to school for social work over there. So she's looking forward to that. A little bit nervous, understandably. She hasn't been in school in forever, and she's got some challenges with her ADHD and things like that. But I reminded her that she's a very different person when she's over in Ireland, with her energy levels and overall mood, than when she's back home. So I think she'll do fine when she gets there and gets going and stuff. But yeah, she came over with Lexi, her little doggo, and hung out. We sat around, we chatted for a bit, we had some dinner, we watched true crime documentary. She's another true crime junkie like me, so we often watch a lot of true crime together when we're hanging out. But yeah, we watched true crime documentary, and we ended up watching a movie as well that evening called Heads of State over on Amazon Prime. It kind of takes place with a president of the United States and then the prime minister as well, and it had I would call it an action movie, but it also had a ton of humor, so there was a lot of comedy in it as well at the same time. It had a really good storyline. Like, you get some action films that are literally all just action, run around, blow them up, and that's fine and great, because sometimes watching action flicks that are like that are kind of mindless, are wonderful too, because you still get your fast-paced action and go, 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 and that, but you don't really have to follow a storyline. This one did have a storyline. It was actually quite good. It was funnier than we thought too, so of course we had a good couple of laughs at it. And then another movie that I watched when I was over there on my own in one of the evenings was called Straw, and that one was over on Netflix. That one was a little bit more of a serious type movie. It follows a low income African American woman who has a daughter on some meds, and basically she has what you can imagine would probably be someone's worst day possible. Landlord wants, you know, the rent paid, so she says she'll stop at the bank and all that. She comes home, all her stuff is thrown out on the lawn. She's lost her home because she's been evicted. She gets fired from her job and stuff like that. So basically she ends up having a complete and total breakdown, but she's trying to cash her last check, and because she's having pretty much a breakdown, it ends up looking like she's robbing the bank instead of being frustrated and all of that. So yeah, it kind of turns into cops outside of the bank try to reason with her, and she's like, she's trying to tell them I'm not robbing the bank. And yeah, it's a really kind of powerful and moving, very, very sad, a little bit more of a serious type movie, but it really, really well done. Really well done. Enjoyed that. So I watched that when I was over there. And then, of course, I just binge watched a bunch of shows. I got into High Potential, which is on Disney. So I watched most of that. And that is, if anybody hasn't seen or know that one, it follows a single mother who has a high IQ and a mind for crimes and kind of an interest in crime, so to speak. So she ends up becoming like not an informant, but like a consultant for the police on certain cases, because she can spot things and see things that they don't catch. And it's little things like the height of a guy because of this brick wall he's standing in front of, and each brick is so much so high, and then with the mortar, and like she calculates it all in her head and says that it would make him approximately this height. So like just little things like that. And so it was good, it was interesting. I enjoyed that one, so I binged watched a bunch of that. And then I watched another one called Waterfront, which was more about a big rich family who owns most of this small town, has a ton of fishing boats and stuff like that, but they're doing like drug runs and stuff like that, and it's kind of how they stay maintaining their lifestyle in that sense, but they're not as clean and prim and proper as they make themselves to be. Stuff like that. So that one I binged watched a bunch of, well, actually the whole series, because there's only like, I don't know, 10 or 8 episodes, something like that. And they only have the one season out. So I did watch that. worked on, like I said, a bunch of crafty stuff. I did some pixels while I was over there. I did some of my Create This book. What else did I do? What else? I'm trying to think. Did a couple of Wreck This Journal things. Yeah. So it was good. Trying to think here. Yeah, and then now that I'm home from that, dog missed me, kiddo missed me. The kid still doesn't want me to go behind closed doors without him, or he wants to hang out where I am quite a bit still. So yeah, I kind of have a little latch buddy pretty much, other than the dog. Right now. Yeah, so I had a hair appointment today, which I went to, came back from. My aunt came over to spend some time with Riley, which she enjoys. I'm always chopped liver when she comes. Yeah, so it was good. Been good. That's about catching us up on our 2 weeks. That's about all that kind of happened. Nothing too exciting, but where we are at. Sorry, I'm just trying to flip one single drill over properly there. Yeah, so that leads us into our good old channel updates and things. So the channel, as we all know, we are still working towards that level 500 goal. That's kind of the next milestone for a giveaway that I'm looking at. And we are almost there. We are slowly climbing. We are now 7 away. At one point we were 6, but then somehow a sub dropped, so I don't know if that was just somebody who naturally decided they got enough out of the channel, or if that was YouTube going in and cleaning up inactive accounts, or what there. But yeah, we did drop down 1, but we'll get there. We're 7 away. We're so close. So, you know, keep on sharing, keep on spreading word, all that good stuff as much as we can to get there. Anybody you think would be interested, share, all that wonderful stuff. Share out videos as well. Because, of course, the next thing that I need to start looking at to just more of a YouTube thing than my own kind of goal, but to look towards getting some monetization starting for the channel through YouTube. I need to get my watch hours happening. So watch hours are pretty much when you're watching a video. Each video tracks like not just how many times it's been watched, but how long it's been watched. So yeah, there's a certain hours requirement within a certain time frame to get, so we've got to work on that. So basically, if there's any old videos or refresher videos that you like to rewatch, definitely go do that. That helps the watch hours. Watching through the entire video instead of kind of skipping through, that also greatly helps watch hours. So little things like that definitely help. Something I am thinking I might have to look into for watch hours, and now that I have a webcam, is a possibility. I just have to figure out how to do it a little bit, and then the best time to do it, given scheduling and stuff, is doing some live streams. So that's something I've kind of, me and my hubby have kind of spoken about. He thinks that's my best bet for getting my watch hours happening. He's got a YouTube channel as well, so I do get quite a bit of advice from him. And he'll he'll help look at some of my video analytics and stuff like that, which he did, because he wanted to see how far away I was from 500 not that long ago. And so, I mean, we looked at that. That looks great. We looked at the impressions. We looked at like a bunch of the analytics, and all of it's looking really good. It was just the watch hours that need some love and attention, and those are probably the hardest, I would think, to get. Those seem to be the hardest to get as a content creator. So yeah, definitely that's kind of the next thing. So I am looking at possibly starting, maybe doing some live streams. I would probably look at once a week on a certain day at a certain time, and then that would kind of become my, much like this, except it would be live, so you could ask questions, interact, talk. I could kind of answer back or reply back to you in person. So it's another great way to interact too with the community. So I think that's what the channel at this point needs after we kind of get that 500, which was always just a personal milestone goal. So yeah, I think that's kind of the next step. So I will start to look into that a little bit more. So if there is a certain day or time that you would like to see, definitely let me know that below. I can't guarantee that's what'll work for me, but if I get an idea of when I might have people who are able to watch and be there in person for these live streams, that's always good to know. So definitely let me know down below. Like I said, they would probably be in this kind of a format where I'm working on something and chatting with you. That's probably, I might do the occasional chill one where you would see me sitting back and we'd just be chatting. I might do that occasionally, especially if we're doing like a Q&A style one, or I have nothing to work on, or I don't feel like working on something but I still want to interact. So that's kind of when we would probably see some of those ones. But yeah, there's two ways I could do lives in that sense. The only thing I worry about with lives is I feel like sometimes I have a hard enough time thinking of things to talk about every 2 weeks for my whip and chat. So what would I kind of talk about weekly on a live, right? So that's just me personally, but I can figure that out. I just feel like sometimes being a stay-at-home mom and not doing a whole bunch, it's not super interesting to chat about, because my day-to-day is pretty much consistently looks the same, with the occasional different issue or event, right? But those are kind of what I pick apart and talk about during whip and chats. So yeah, that we're looking at. So yeah, that could be something new and exciting for the channel to add. A new little layer. Like I said, I just gotta figure out a couple of things before I can kind of put that in motion. But definitely want to gauge everybody's interest in that. Is that something everybody else would enjoy? Would you like to kind of come and join in on a live and hang out while I work on something in chat? Is it something that you would even watch afterwards too? Because I know a lot of people who can't make lives will still watch in a replay setting, because there's still a conversation stuff going on. Would that be something that you would watch afterwards if you couldn't make it? Definitely let me know all of that down in the comments below. Then of course there's Facebook. If you haven't joined us over there, go join us over on Facebook. All of that's down in my description box. Share your dime painting, share your crafty projects. Anything basically that you want to share in relation to either of those is perfect. We've even shared our furry little diamond painting companions and supervisors occasionally over on there, because we all know there's a few of us that have pets in the diamond painting world. So always love to see those too, because I love animals and pets. I have 2 dogs of my own. I used to have a cat. So I'm definitely all about the pets and animals. And speaking of pets and animals, I'm super excited for August because I've been in touch with a new to me diamond painting company, and they have a campaign that's featuring animals and celebrating animals, and so we're going to be diving into that at the beginning of August, so look out for that video. There will be a new unboxing that'll come along with that, and some great details that'll apply with all of that as well, that I will talk about, so definitely stay tuned for that. And then I have a couple of Diamond Art Clubs that I haven't had a chance yet to film or unbox, and those were ones that mostly have snuck their way into my cart because they've restocked recently. And I did find 2 of my unicorns in a D-stash group as of late, so I had those show up, so I had a few to do unboxings for in that sense as well. But for the most part, I'm caught up on filming things. It's just getting it out to you. I think that's about it. If there are any type of videos that you are interested in watching, that you're curious about, that you're wanting me to work on, definitely give me those ideas down below in the comments as well. I'm always happy to look into them and see what I can do. If I have the supplies, that kind of thing, what it might take to come out with these videos, that kind of thing. If there's a new shop you want me to check out, let me know. I definitely keep track of those, all that good stuff. So yeah, if you have any ideas like that, definitely don't hesitate to share. I am always open to them. Like I said, I'll see what I can do. But I think that's about it for channel stuff mostly. I can't think of anything else. That I've missed. It should include. So with that being said, I will leave the video here. I'm almost done this section anyways. There's only like 3 more colors. This little bit of ABs there, some brown and some pink there. So we're almost done this little section. It went fairly quickly. We're all caught up on what's been going on and where we're at with the channel. So yeah, definitely make use of that comment section. Like I said, let me know what you'd be interested in, not interested in, what works for you. If I were to look into doing live streams, if certain days are better, if daytime hours versus evening hours are better, that kind of idea, just so I can kind of gauge a good time slot to find. And yeah, I think that is about it. So I'm just gonna say bye, and of course I'll see everybody in the next video with something new. Bye.